up, fuzzball?
From Down Under.
Do or do not. There is no try.
G'day, mate. How you going? G'day, mate. How you going? Welcome to the Fantha from Down Under. Coming to you live from Quinlan's Cantina on the Gold Coast of Australia. I'm your host, Adam O'Brien, and tonight we have a great chat with one of my dear friends who's also a Star Wars podcaster and one massive Star Wars fan. We'll get into that shortly, but, of course, Star Wars time is really now when you've got Episode 9 on the way, on the close of what could be the end of the Skywalker line of the saga, and at a time where we've got so many new films on the way. We've got a new trilogy in the hands of Rian Johnson, which is exciting, and we also have, of course, the creators of Game of Thrones TV show doing a number of films, and of course we have the great Star Wars live-action TV show on the way, and of course now this amazing trailer of Star Wars Resistance, which I love. The animation style is really, really interesting, and the style of show harkens back to both Top Gun for me, and also, when you think about it, there's a little bit of Robotech in the way that comes about too. Of course, both revolved around huge amounts of flying, of course, fast vehicles, and fast, in this case, starfighters in this one. So it's really getting to the heart of some of the great parts of Star Wars as well, obviously leaning towards the influence of X-Wings, maybe even Rogue Squadron to a certain extent. But it's interesting. We've got brand new characters. We've got some new ones, which, again, will carry this series. And we've got some old ones there. Princess Leia's in there, Captain Phasma, and, of course, Poe Dameron and BB-8. I can't wait to check out what this series is going to be like. But let's get into the chat today with Alan Zorg. And this is part 1. You'll also catch on episode 10 the remainder of his chat here, live on the Fantha from Down Under. Welcome to the Fantha from Down Under. Well, it's your mate Adam here, and I'll tell you what, I have another mate, and his name is Alan. He comes all the way from the United States of America, and he happens to be, yes, he's proud to admit, he's a Star Wars fan. And guess what? He is one of 3 amazing podcasters on Idiots Array podcast, my favourite Star Wars podcast. Mate, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
Mate, I am amazing, and even more amazing now that you're here, pal, because we've been trying to get this together for a couple of days, and it's always fun when we chat.
No, I love when we chat, and it's been quite a while since we've talked, so this is something I've been looking forward to for a few months.
That's right. Now, the huge elephant in the room, guys, is the spoiler that we're about to announce right here and now. Fantha Tracks has known about this for a little while, and of course, Idiots Array have been sitting on this huge, huge spoiler. Are we ready for it? That's right. Nicolas Cage is in episode 9.
Wait, what? Oh, wait, I was supposed to know that. That was a spoiler.
Can you imagine? Oh my goodness.
Cage. Let's see. What would he play in episode 9? This could be a good one.
I don't know. I really honestly don't. Where would you put him? But the huge tantalising news is that Oscar Isaac is actually playing 2 roles in episode 9. That's right. We know Poe Dameron is a huge character who's a leader, a reliable and heroic, X-Wing pilot. But he has a brother, that's right, with a huge mustachio. His name is Mo Dameron.
and he's got the mustache, and it curls up at the side of his mouth, kind of,
Mustachio. All right, but one more.
But he's not the best starfighter in the galaxy, though. He's the best blue milk server in the galaxy.
Ah, nice. I like it. Pal, it's been a little while. Obviously, it's first time on Fantha Down Under that you've been on the show. We've been on my previous show a number of times, mate. First of all, let's tell the listeners a little bit about your own podcast, Idiots Array?
So, Idiots Array, we started about 3.5 years ago, and it was back when we were with the Cantina Cast, and our good friend Mike at the Cantina Cast suggested we get started, and we decided to make it a little different than other shows. You got a lot of podcast news shows, you got a lot of special interest otherwise. We decided to make it about in-depth discussion into the mythology, the symbolic nature of Star Wars. And so most of our episodes, if not all of them, are in depth on the symbolic nature of Star Wars and the mythology. We like to go in depth and talk a lot about not only life application, but also connecting the dots through the saga and print media and movies and cartoons and everything, and try and bring it all together. It's kind of fun.
What I also like about your podcast is that each of you have obviously your own insight into Star Wars and what you love about Star Wars, I suppose. And the conversation is very natural. It progresses on each of the points that you guys bring up in such a lovely manner. And that's what I love about, you can be sitting there in your car, especially out here in Australia, we have really bad traffic congestion. So to listen to an hour's podcast or so every couple of weeks like that, for me, is great. So I'm listening to, you guys, opinions on Star Wars and obviously where you think it's going to go with the stories and all that sort of thing. But it's always exciting.
Yeah, we love doing so, and I'm glad you mentioned the flow, because we feed off of each other quite a bit. We're like brothers, we really are. Mark and Ryder are the brothers I've never had, and we do feed off each other. Sometimes we may disagree on points, very rarely though, because we just respect each other so much in the things that we talk about. And in honest truth, I mean, Ryder and Mark make me a better podcaster, make me a better fan. They make me better at what I do, and I enjoy it. And the two of them are fantastic.
100% agree. One of the things I love that, the podcast that you guys do, obviously looking at, areas of Star Wars that, whether it's the books, I think that's one of the things that we all miss about, some of the, I think, even the podcasting I've done, we always focus on the movies a lot. And, it's good to actually get into a little bit of the characters in the background. I mean, my favourite character is Quinlan Vos, and
yes.
And he's in a blink and a miss at moment in episode 1 where he's just chilling back. Sebulba walks past and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's all you see."
Yeah, and well, I mean, take from our favorite character, the three of us, right from the get-go, episode 2. We talked about Qui-Gon Jinn. That's our favorite character as a podcast. You are showing these fantastic toys on here while we're talking. I am jealous. but we're not. We don't shy away from any of the characters if we can. We like to talk about it. We had an entire episode dedicated to Jocasta Nu. So we like to talk about it. We like to talk about a lot of the characters and how they fit into the saga as a whole. Like I said, Qui-Gon's our favorite. We've had 2 episodes about him, and we feel like he's the quintessential Jedi of the entire saga, that he means probably more to the saga than anybody else. But we like to get into discussions like that because we think it's worth the time and effort put into it.
I agree. Quinlan Vos, I mean, is obviously, for me, the reason I like him so much is that he straddles more of a grey realm, I suppose, of the Force.
Yes.
And we can see that both in, I suppose, the now canon material, but even if you look back in the Legends material, there's always that balance where he dabbled in whether it's going to the gangsters and the scum and the villainy, all that sort of thing. But if you go and have a look at the other side of the equation, he's also did quite a bit of work on the light side of the Force as a teacher. And he really was a teacher. And I think that's why I also liked Liam Neeson's portrayal of Qui-Gon in everything that he's done. Not just the movie, obviously, Phantom Menace, but when he's come back to do the voice. And he always kept that character down, He didn't break into the Taken character. He didn't go into Brian Mills, that whole thing where he does his little speech. He had, Qui-Gon just right. I mean, there was that sort of, I suppose, explorative sort of quality about him. And I think the fact that he was always learning about creatures around him, the world around him, and he let that focus on the Force. So that's before even George came up with the idea of cosmic and living Force. I always thought that that was what's great about him, is that he's almost George's window into Star Wars, because he's exploring the outer realms of all the, the possibilities of the Force.
Absolutely. And the thing about Qui-Gon, I feel like he had a better understanding of the Force than any Jedi. In fact, as we learned from the Lost Missions of the Clone Wars, Yoda learned more about the Force and Anakin's destiny. He learned about how to commune beyond the Force, all of that because of Qui-Gon's instruction and Qui-Gon putting him in a position to learn that. And that's what I loved about Qui-Gon, and that's what I love about Star Wars and the way it goes into the symbolism like that, where it goes really deep. And sometimes you have to wrap your head around some of these myths and some of these parts of the mythology that you're not going to get otherwise. And that's why reading the books, that's why reading the comics, that's why watching these things are so important. And it's funny you mentioned Quinlan Vos. We're talking about two different Jedi here, but Quinlan Vos I loved a lot. I didn't read much of the Legends, but I really liked him in the Clone Wars. And one of my favorite novels is Dark Disciple.
Oh, nice.
I love Asajj Ventress, and I loved Quinlan Vos, and I felt like that entire book, which is based off of the Clone Wars series, really captured Quinlan in a most unique way. That book was fantastic. If anybody hasn't read Dark Disciple by Christy Golding, they need to. It's good.
And the fact that it really got two things right. It got the dynamic between himself and Asajj perfectly. It was down to a T. And then also his dynamic with who, I think really at the end of the day they are friends, Kenobi and him. Especially the way, oh, what are you doing, Quinlan? He goes, hey, that's like your opinion, man. Come on, dude.
Right. Well, and we also saw a dynamic from the Jedi Council that we're not used to seeing. First of all, the book introduces the idea that the Jedi Council finally decides that they need to assassinate Dooku, and we suddenly learn that the Council is past their old ways, past the point of no return, really, because they're going down these dark paths that that a Jedi Council should not be doing. But at the very end of the book, there is some redemption as well, because one, you see Asajj Ventress is redeemed before the end of the book. You also see that the Jedi Council, in most cases, would have condemned a Jedi, but in turn, they allow a redemption factor with Quinlan Vos. There is so much to be garnered from that book, just about the Jedi Council alone, that I loved.
Oh, that's right. And the thing is, if it went down that dark path, then characters would be quite different. You look at Qui-Gon Jinn. It would move into more of the realm of, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want.
Right.
But you will come to Dagobah.
Right. No, I agree. And, back to the original, what started our conversation, this is what I like about Idiots Array, is because these are the kind of conversations that I have with Ryder and with Mark. These are the kind of stimulating ideas and conversations that grow from the wellspring that is Idiots Array. And it's been a lot of fun, and I hope it continues. And we only do it every 2 weeks, so it's just twice a month. And so we're up to, I think it's like episode 74 now or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, it's enjoyable, and it gets you to think. And if we get you, the listener, to think, our job is complete.
Unbelievable. It's what you would need. And I think you're ready for your first game show here on Fantha Tracks. Are you ready for WWSD?
I don't know if I'm ready on the spot here. I'm not a game show guy very well, but I'm ready. Let's do it.
WWD. What would Sean do? Okay. So all you've got to tell me is, what would Sean Connery do if he was put in a situation of Star Wars? So you've got a young wizard comes up to him. He's sitting in the bar with a big furry dog next to him, and they're about to embark on a quest for this man. So Sean's sitting there, yes, thank you very much. I'm sitting here with my fine little blue milk. Who drinks blue milk? Come on, geez, what is this? I don't know. Would Sean, as Han Solo, so as Sean Solo, would he take the offer of Obi-Wan Kenobi and take the actual thing for 2,000 credits and actually go off on the Falcon on the quest? Or would he say, I don't care, I'm going to drink this blue milk, it's worth more than 2,000 credits?
Well, I think there's a part C. I think he would actually ask them to take them to a tailor first so he can get then he'll accept their 2,000 credits.
You know, it's interesting. I've got a couple of mates who do a retro podcast, and they were doing a show on Highlander 2. And, of course, Highlander 2 has that scene where, just call my name Highlander, and I will return, and he does. He comes back, all right, in the middle of a Hamlet show, in, Shakespeare in the Park sort of stuff. And the first thing he does, oh, yes, I need to go to a tailor. Yes, I need a new suit. Once Bond, always Bond, of course. Oh, it's madness.
It's all about that dapper look for Sean Connery. He's got to look dapper.
He's got to look dapper. And I tell you what's looking dapper, and in the best way possible, is Star Wars Resistance. That trailer looks like the Top Gun of Star Wars. It looks fantastic.
Oh, without question. And my immediate thought when I saw it was Robotech. And I've seen a lot of people say the same thing.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Voltron. I grew up watching Robotech. I grew up watching a lot of those anime shows from the 80s. When I saw that, I thought, wow, this has that feel. This has that overall context. I'm looking forward to it, but it still is Star Wars, and it still feels Star Wars. I'm excited for it, very much so.
There's a heavy-handed, definitely anime feel to this, and it's in the best way possible a retro anime. But the vehicles, these starships, have almost a mecha look. The way they're sort of a little bit more bulkier, stronger in some ways than the nimble craft we're seeing, and I like that.
Yeah, so do I. And it seems like they've got a little bit more oomph to them when they take off, too, and when they're going. I mean, there is so much. I mean, it's a short 2-minute trailer, so there's not a lot of information we garner from it, but there is so much that we can garner from it, and I'm ready. I'm ready. Can we get to October already? Because I'm ready for this new series.
Same here. The other one I'm really interested in seeing is obviously the live-action TV show, which I'm guessing will be a little way off in comparison. They always take a little bit longer to put together. But the director of Iron Man behind it has me very excited.
Yeah, I haven't kept up on that news very much, but I am familiar with it. I'm excited for it, and I think it's Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, John. I like John. I like the work he does, and you mentioned Iron Man is one of the more recent memories of what he's done, but he's done so much more than that, and I think it'll be good. And if they do it, my understanding is they're going to prep it to be released on the new Disney app sometime in the next couple of years, I would assume. Which, if it's anything like the productions that they have put out on Netflix, like the Daredevils, the Luke Cages and those type of things, if it's anything like that, then I think it's going to be great. And I'm excited to see what John can do with it.
He's somebody that works well with people. I think there's certain directors, which we know quite well, go faster, more intense, and compared to his best friend Steven Spielberg, who is a definite people person, he puts that above all, and that's why you get such great team performances, I think, from the groups that he puts together. I mean, George does that too, I think. Particularly, but it's more the way he casts his films. He casts groups, and casting groups always works. If you look at it, it's a lot what even the more recent films Ryan's done, and definitely JJ.
You know what I like about this too is that Star Wars continues to bring directors on. I mean, JJ was an example. Ryan is another example. That they bring on these directors who are just fans of Star Wars. Yeah. Jon Favreau, I mean, is there any bigger fan out there than Jon Favreau of Star Wars? I mean, he loves Star Wars, and I'm excited to see him put his heart and soul into something and create something that I hope will just take off. And I'm excited to see what it is.
I like his character in Clone Wars, down to even the name. Pre-Vizsla. And you got to remember, George is always about names. At Filoni too. And you think about it,
right?
What is Pre Vizsla about with obviously his group, and it's you go back to Concord Dawn, that whole thing. It's all about the before. So Pre Viz before. What did the before look? And I think that's very much what Pre Vizsla is. It's looking back. This is what Mandalorian was, but here we are now.
That's a good point. Wow, Okay, I have to make note of that because I'm going to have to discuss that with my co-host of Idiots Are Right. That's crazy, but I hadn't even thought about that. But you're right. Mm-hmm. Pre Vizsla, looking before. I mean, is that George's look into the past of Mandalore with that character? And
oh yeah.
And now that I think about Clone Wars, it really was. He represented what Mandalore once was.
He was, and you think about it too, right down to the Darksaber. Everything about that was looking into the past. But I mean, you could look past that and even look into the names. Now, here's something you'll like from my previous episode. I had a good pal, the first Mace Tawani on the show, by the name of Eric Walker. And he mentioned there was something about names in Star Wars. He said, well, right down to his name, he said a lot of people came up to him, you just got the role because your last name's Walker. And he said, no. Crazy, but true,
Yes.
and I will put this.
But I mean, I was going to say, you mentioned the names though. I mean, look at even Darth Vader and what that name represented, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what was it? Dark Father?
Yeah, it wasn't.
How much more
Dutch or something for Dark Father? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, how much more explicit can you get with a name, or symbolic can you get with a name than that alone?
Oh, yeah.
George has always been about the symbolism, I think, both in name and in and in visuals, and I think he's done a superb job of it. So I'm glad you brought up the names, because that's true. He's very good with that.
We could play a whole game of names. Han Solo, Rogue, one by himself.
Right.
Right down to that. Chewbacca, dog goes out and chews things, chews shoes. Luke Skywalker, one who walks in the sky, one who looking to the future, never his mind on where he was, what he was doing, again, it goes down to what Yoda says. It's all there.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you guys have been talking about on your show, but a lot of people have been missing some big stuff that Ryan put in the movie. They're too busy. Like, there's no way Luke Skywalker can facsimile himself all the way from one planet to an entire star system on the other side of the galaxy. That's what's happening. What do you mean? What are you talking about there? You tell me he goes on to the other side of the moon over there just by zoom? He's over there? No, that's not what you have to be thinking about. What you really need to be thinking about is the fact that Yoda did something in The Last Jedi which woke people up. A lot of people didn't realise it, but if you watch the glow around the puppet, right, now there's a big thing that they were trying to put in there. He came back to life. You got to watch it very, very carefully. You watch that very, very carefully, and you'll hear this. When he goes, Skywalker, never your mind on where you were, what you were doing. He touched Luke. Physically touched Luke. Now, a lot of people have seen that and they think, oh, well, maybe that's just a ghost thing. But there's another character, if you watch Return of the Jedi, who also does that. Guess who? It's not Yoda. Physically touches the real world as a ghost.
It's not. Is it Obi-Wan?
It is Obi-Wan.
Is it?
Yeah, have a watch.
When did he do that?
He moves the trees.
The trees.
The trees, yes.
Oh my God!
Everyone misses that.
I didn't even think about that. Yes. And with The Last Jedi, so many people focused on his ability to call lightning to strike the tree and thought, okay, Force ghosts aren't supposed to do that. Nobody pointed to the fact that, he did touch the forehead of Luke, and you're right, back to Return of the Jedi. Oh my gosh.
Mind blown.
Obi-Wan did.
Yeah.
Mind is blown. Yep. I'm done. The day is done. We're good. Everybody, good night.
You can thank the writer Adam Bray for that. I had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Don't you remember Return of the Jedi?" And my mind was like, pew! I'm like, what the hell? He's right. He's 100% right.
Adam Bray is a fantastic individual.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Adam.
He's so in with, like just looking at not just the stuff that we see. He's looking deeper, into the, what the meanings are in a lot of those scenes. And, you've only got X amount of time in a film to put across a story point. And that was very clever. Very clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think that's
now I need to go back and watch. I need to go back and watch Return of the Jedi again just so I can see it again. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, one of the things I've been seeing around the web, and it's not just, obviously Last Jedi had a huge uproar of 50% of the fandom or whatever it was. I watch that film every time, and it surprises me just how amazing. It's exactly what people wanted after that, what they said about the Force Awakens. Oh, it's too derivative. It's too much this, too much that. It's just a New Hope over again. Another Death Star, And then, so what do they do? Well, I'll try and give you what you want. That's what they've done. A completely different Star Wars film. They got it.
Yeah. No, they did. But even though they did, I still felt it had similar elements to other films. There was Empire Strike Back elements to it. There were elements from Return of the Jedi for it. I mean, if you want to see something that's just wild and crazy, go back and watch right after Luke chops off Vader's hand, and he looks down at his own hand, and then looks at Vader, and then looks back, turns off the lightsaber, and throws it. Now go and watch that side by side with his flashback with Kylo Ren when he almost strikes him down, stops, looks at his own hand, shuts off the lightsaber, and that's when Kylo Ren turns around and finds him. You look at his face in both scenarios, they're so similar. There is some similar moments throughout The Last Jedi from other films, and I thought it was well done.
Oh, definitely. And I think the thing is, that works so well with that first scene on Octo, looks at the saber, just goes, throws it over the back, and you know what I wanted to hear? I wanted him to say something. Screw this, I'm going fishing.
I'd be okay with that. I actually wanted the porg that kept jumping on the lightsaber to actually accidentally turn it on and kill his friend. I would have liked that.
Didn't they do that in the deleted scene? I'm sure they did.
They probably did. I haven't watched all the deleted scenes yet. I'm just saying, if they had done that in the real film, I would have laughed my butt off.
I just love the scene. Chewie's sitting by the Falcon in that little camp he's got there, and he's about to have a little bit of bird like this, and looks over, and the little poor little Paul going, well, he's sitting there, don't eat my friend, don't eat him, And Chewie's like, no. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's so good, It's brilliant.
Chewie always thinking with his stomach, but then he's always got that heart of gold too, and all it takes is a pork giving him a sad face, and he'll give it up.
Now, I've got to ask you, in Solo, did you think the Beast Underground was Chewie at first? Or did you think it was a Rancor? I thought it was a Rancor.
I thought it was Chewie right away.
Oh, you did? Wow, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I as soon as I wondered what it was, but as soon as I heard the slight, just the muffled growl, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is Chewie. No way. I didn't think it was any bloodthirsty. I don't know. I didn't have the idea that it was something bloodthirsty crazy. But yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be Chewbacca or something of that sort.
Oh yeah, and the scene's great. As soon as Han starts doing, and if you watch Chewie goes, does that dog thing where they try and understand what the hell's going on. I loved it. It was perfect. They got it right.
And the thing is everybody. I've had quite a few friends say, "Why did they have to have subtitles when Han was speaking Shriwook?" And I'm like, because they wanted to show you just how bad it was. They don't put subtitles for Chewie because that's just Chewie. That's the way he speaks. Yeah. But I feel like they had to put subtitles for Han because you just had to know just how bad it was for Han. I mean, I think it was a play on the joke there is what it was.
100%. And I think the biggest surprise of everything is that how good Donald Glover was as Lando. I mean, he really smashed it. Yes. I mean, oh, wow. You know, and I'm a big fan of him and his music. I mean, that's one thing, you know, I mean, just at work, even today, I'm sitting there cleaning the shelves and getting everything ready and sorting out my staff. And the stuff that once we've finished with customers, crank on one of the latest albums. It's just great. It's again, makes you feel great and very intelligent music. Very smart guy.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't heard his music. I was familiar he was a rapper. I wasn't familiar enough with what he did. Maybe I'll have to go check it out.
It's really good. And I think the other thing too is that Woody Harrelson. Everyone kind of like, what? Woody Harrelson, Star Wars? But Woody's come in and played a character that the minute he's on screen, it's not Woody. It's the character. Like he became that character. But I don't know if you're like me, and I just wanted to see his twin brother rock up from Ed. Now, we're talking, of course, about, all right. Listen here. I got myself a 6-shooter. All right. What's this, Falcon? All right. Talk about different castings. You know for sure that Chris Walken was almost solo on the Falcon with the dog 8 foot tall, here, now, ready, let's go. Falcon. Parsecs? What is that? I mean, there's... Yeah. Michael Caine was almost Kenobi. He's going to rename it Michael Caine-Nobi, and we're here in Tatooine somewhere. I've got myself a lightsaber. We just go down the pub.
You know, Solo, if you just give it your best shot, you'll be all right.
So, the big news going around is, and it's not a spoiler, it's out there. I don't know if it's been officially confirmed yet, but who is in Star Wars? Who? That's right. Matt Smith. Not a doctor I was familiar with. I've seen him, obviously, on the magazine covers because we get a lot of British sci-fi mags out here, but he was one of the last couple of doctors in Doctor Who. He's in Star Wars.
That's where I recognized him from. And see, I don't watch a lot of Doctor Who, but no, that's where I've seen him from. I wonder what character they're going to have him play in Star Wars. They're not releasing any details, and you're right. If the rumors hold true, I mean, they haven't confirmed it yet, but if they hold true, I wonder what he'll be.
And of course, we get Mary and Pippin in Star Wars for second breakfast.
Yes.
I want me second breakfast, lads.
I wonder if he's going to play some sort of First Order character.
I think so. I think actually all of these castings they had recently are. Here's the thing. I don't think you're going to see Knights of Ren, and there's a reason for that. Something I was seen a few opinions on this, so I don't know whether this is right or not. Matt Smith and all that, I think, are going to be maybe hierarchy of the First Order. I think you know people that work along with Supreme Leader Ren, which I still getting used to saying Supreme Leader Ren. You know?
Right?
Yeah. And so I look at it this way. I kind of think it when he said Master of the Knights of Ren. I think Master because he would have been like other Sith and stuff like beforehand, forced to face them all off, and I think he would have slaughtered them all. Who's the victor? The victor is the Master of the Ren.
Right. No, and I could see that. I could definitely see that. The Knights of Ren, I would hope they would bring back, but I don't know that it makes sense to bring it back for this film. The other group that I'm kind of hoping they bring back, they're kind of setting it up in the comics a little bit, is Black Squadron.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much of the comics you've read recently, but they've been kind of following Black Squadron's adventures away from the Resistance, and they've been out there doing a search, trying to garner some help and systems out there to the cause of the Resistance. And the story in the comics has been very good so far. So I'm wondering if that's a setup for JJ to bring them back for episode 9.
I hope so. And the other, I mean, definitely. And it has to be in this, a wrap up to a series like that. You know, you have to have that come back. But the other thing I want, and I think it's something, when he alluded to it in the last film, that they're help from friends in the Outer Rim. And I think that friend, obviously Billy D's in the film. That's a hint where we're going. And they've been hinted, I don't know where I read it, but there's going to be a lot more Maz Kanata. So that means pirates. That means pirates.
Yes.
So
can we get Maz and Lando in the cockpit of the Falcon together?
Oh mate, please. Look. So how you doing, Chewbacca? How's my ship? What have you done to my ship? You know, he's waiting.
In fact, what I want is Lando to smooth talk Maz, and I want Maz to turn around and to look at Lando and say, "Don't be talking to me like that. Chewbacca's my boyfriend."
Nice. How you doing, Maz? That's brilliant.
Hello, what have we here?
And I've got to put it out there to a dear friend of ours both, Corey D. Williams, who's been playing coy about this for as long as he could. He's known about this, obviously, through the old man, or Pops, as he calls him. You know, he's been trying. I can't answer, man. I can't say anything. And finally, he's like, yes, I can say it. You know, and mate, what a champion. Absolute champ.
Well, and Star Wars has been so good at bringing things full circle. And I look at this on the heels of Solo, where Han Solo wins the Falcons fair and square. Oh, by the way, everybody remember Empire Strikes Back? Hey, I won her fair and square. Guess what? He wins her fair and square in Solo. I wonder if they bring that full circle and Lando gets the Falcon back in Episode 9. I wonder. I don't know if that'll be the case, because I feel like the Falcon belongs to Rey now, and so Rey and Chewie are the Falcon's owners. So I don't know if Lando takes her back or if they give her back, but it would be kind of interesting to see what happens.
It would be great if it's for Han Solo's daughter.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Right?
Now, a lot of people keep saying it's, you know, it's not, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter to, look, I agree to a point, you know, and that's part of what Last Jedi is about, the fact that, you know, anyone can be a hero. And I love that. I absolutely love that. But, you know, they've been very clear that this is a Skywalker saga, and this is the end of that point. So to wrap it up, it needs to have a connection in some manner. Obviously, you know, Kylo is that connection to a point. But let's take you back to Takadona, and Rey goes, wow, I've never seen so much green. She's looking around, she's looking at the lush planet, and have a look at Harrison Ford's performance just in that scene. He looks over at her, and you can see the grief on him. Now, if that's not the grief of a parent who's had to hide their kid far away and not be there for them, then you're missing something, and you're missing something bad.
I think you're onto something there, and I hope you're right.
And the episode comes to a close here on the Fantha from Down Under. Thank you so much for coming and listening to the show today. If you enjoyed the show, jump on iTunes and give it a rating there. Tell us about what you loved about the show. And of course, at the end of the day, I hope you've enjoyed this and Making Tracks on Fantha Tracks Radio. I'm Adam O'Brien. We'll catch you next Saturday here on the Fantha from Down Under. May the Force be with you.